What's good, y'all? Frankie and Jax back up in this thing, man. Uh, Dude, it feels a little bit more like I feel a little bit better about us streaming now. Like it's getting a little be a lot more consistent, so it feels more natural. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, speak for yourself, bro.
It don't feel natural.
I still got my diaper on.
Oh man. So yeah, everybody that's popping in, make sure y'all are sharing it so we can get some more people up in this joint. But yeah, we're gonna talk about a variety of stuff, but obviously, like always, the chat is gonna help dictate where we go with the conversation. So make sure y'all are chatting and all that good stuff. But we were talking about something earlier today. I figure I'll let you explain it, Frankie, since like when we were talking about it as far as like the channels and stuff. Like,
Yeah, so basically, like when we do the non-MMA related stuff, it's going to be mostly or entirely really on the Frankie and Jax channel, which you can find on with the what is it, the code there on the screen. So the link should be in the description as well. For the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to link all of our free channels together, so that those subscribers who are interested in talking about those kind of things can transfer over to that channel as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to leave the videos up on that channel, the more general ones, and then we're going to delete them from our channels after they're done. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff and talking about things other than MMA, so yeah, subscribe to Frankie and Jax, and then that's where you'll mostly find us on. Well, for now, it's going to be Sunday and Wednesday, and we'll see where it goes from there. But eventually, we're going to phase out putting all three channels together. So again, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, add the Frankie and Jax channel, and we'll add little reminders throughout the chat or throughout today's broadcast.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know what? You want to talk about this UFC card real quick?
Yeah, I do.
I'll tell you, like, I did not like. Normally, when the card comes on, like, I'm like, okay, let me jump into it like from the first fight, as if I was there. But like this one, I was like, I'll catch up.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was very optimistic about the card. I thought it was I thought it exceeded expectations. I thought we had some really good fights on it, and generally what I got was because I didn't, obviously we didn't stream last night. Thanks, Golden Short, appreciate it, man. Yeah, we sort of because I spent the majority of the time being in like we spent time with Dougie. I kind of stopped in on ITP as well. I managed to get up in a few and generally people were saying the card was awful, and I don't really understand it. So
yeah, I did see a lot of that.
Did you guys see that the blue corner fighters for 305 got leaked? No, Aaron, I haven't really been on anything today. I've had quite a busy day. What's been going on? Was there anyone in particular that stood out? I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I don't know if it was on Twitter or whatnot, but
I haven't been on Twitter all day.
You know, it's funny.
I don't know, man. If we look at the card, from yesterday, let's look at this. Let's try and look at this a little bit like, well, we can't look at it objectively, but Josephine Knudsen and Palastri had a nice little fight. The Maziko Costa one was a little bit boring, but you got a finish. Weston Wilson got a really quick finish. Gabriela Fernandez and Judice had a war. Really good fight. Nathan Menes and Jimmy Flick was meh, but it was all right. It wasn't a terrible fight. I was already saying at this point, like 3 fights in, I was saying this is better than 302, which I know isn't saying much, but if you think about the expectations coming into this card, there weren't any.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
And then we had on the main card, we had Fugit and Quinlan was all right. Bit of a back and forth scrappy affair. Asu Almabayev stunk it up a little bit, but if you're somebody who enjoys the grappling, it was quite fun from that exchange. Brady Handstad and Garrett Armfield had a war.
Now that was a great fight.
And a
That was a
finish.
great fight.
Lucas Almeida was beating the brakes off Timothy Kawamba, who showed some heart, managed to stay in the fight, and almost finished it himself at the end. That was a good fight. Johnson Andrade was pretty technical. There was danger throughout it. It wasn't the most exciting, but there were some moments in it.
Yeah.
And then Tatsukara showed he's arrived. So all in all, I don't think there was a terrible fight on this card. I think people saying it was terrible were just, I don't think they're looking at the card for what it was.
Yeah, true.
I thought it was a good card. I'm not saying it was spectacular or anything, but it definitely exceeded expectations.
I will say that when I tuned in, I tuned in maybe about halfway through, just because I had low expectations, but you know what? When you have low expectations, they tend to get exceeded, and I thought it ended up pretty well. I hate that it did end in injury, like Aaron was saying, but that part sucked. But then again, it was an injury that was kind of caused by what was happening. So, you know, that's just kind of how it goes. It sucks for Perez because he was just starting to get active, and then yeah, he's about to be out for a minit.
Yeah,
I mean, at least it looked that way.
But I will say though, the way that a lot of people shout on Tyra's performance here. I thought that the stand-up has greatly improved. I was saying this in Dougie's chat yesterday. I think his stand-up was terrible a couple of fights ago, and he's at least standing. He's at least competent in the stand-up now. But when he decides to grab a hold of you and take you down, his transitioning down there was amazing. And when he got the triangle in, it was kind of, when he was kind of leaning back and then popping. I've never really seen that in MMA before.
No.
So it's like, I was very impressed with the way he just decided, you know what? Yeah, I can go to this whenever I want to. And I know it was an injury and whatnot. He created that injury. The way he twisted him down. So it wasn't one of those ones. The thing is, I hate when, I think a lot of people go, when an injury ends a fight. How is it very different when somebody gets bonged out and dropped? He literally twisted his body and made his knee twist. He caused that injury. It wasn't like in the instance where somebody steps and then they fuck up their leg, like what happened with Aspinall against Blades, where the injury came not from somebody getting attacked. It was just an awkward step. The injury was caused by the opponent. So I don't know. It was a little bit anticlimactic. I'll give it that. Nice one, Tino. Appreciate the shout out, bro.
Yeah,
get over to Tino ABO the Tune if you're a football fan or not. Like, the content's just fun stuff as well. I thought it was a very acceptable card.
Yeah.
I really do. I enjoy it.
If you're gonna have a card in the Apex, like, I guess that's a decent card to have right there. Obviously want to get away from the Apex as much as possible, but I mean, if you're gonna do it, that's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, I was generally happy with how the card went. I was pretty pleased. And like I said, when you're joining, I think when you get the opportunity to join like people's watch-alongs and stuff, it kind of elevates things a little bit.
It does.
Like I said, I was floating around a little bit yesterday, so it definitely elevates things when you've got people to talk to and get through it.
Yeah, man. I went to, of course, like you mentioned, Dougie's. I was in musical MMAs for a little while. That motherfucker was cooking a duck. He was cooking a duck while we were in it. Like,
that's a new one. You definitely get a little bit of random thrown in over there.
He's crazy, man. But it was a good stream though. But yeah, it's always entertaining when you jump in these streams and you got people that are talking about it and they know what the hell they're talking about. So
yeah, I thought I was getting gunned off for saying that the card was decent because everyone was saying it was shit. So I'm not even I can't even say that, the people who have the same opinion in here, I gotta say, like, I'm in the very, 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 very slight minority. In fact, I might be the only person on the internet who's saying it was a good card, which I don't understand.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was bad at all. Oh, this is an interesting take, though. This is an interesting take. Check this out. Aaron said an interesting fight would be Tyra versus Mokaev.
I think from what I've seen of it, Tyra would destroy him.
Seems that way.
Tyra would destroy him. Like, I think he would be like, Tyra's stand-up is not amazing, but he's way better on the feet than Mokaev. and I think the way he transitions on the ground, the strength that he's got, I think he's a level above Makayev, but I think he's kind of jumped ahead of Makayev now. I think he's. I mean, because he's what? He's probably going to be ranked number 4. What? Not number 4. Where was
5.
Pires ranked?
He's 5.
4 or 5th. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be ranked 5th after this. He's 20. He's 20. What? 4? 23, 24 years old.
24. Yeah.
He's going to be a champion one day. 100%.
Yeah. It seems that
100%.
way. It seems that
He
way.
could be next. He could be next.
He's a fresh face. I can tell you that. So they are inclined to throw him in there. I bet you they would rather put him in there than Makayev anyway.
Oh, definitely. The weird thing is with Makayev, is he doesn't really have the Muslim fan base behind him because he talks about being British, and he doesn't really have the British fan base behind him because he doesn't big up being British. He's kind of weirdly in the middle where, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have much of a he doesn't have much of a strong following either way. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the situation, but when you think of somebody like Tyra, who's got like such a massive fan base coming from Japan that's constantly growing,
Mm-hmm.
he could definitely be the guy. Imagine if they could get him to be champion at 24, 25 years old. It'd be massive.
It would be huge. It would be huge. Yeah. No, I think that they should.
Oh, Betty.
Boy. Oh, he said if you're trying. Oh, wait. You're trying to get a spot.
Coming at me. I'm trying. The thing is, I knew I was facing an uphill battle today. I knew I was, because I saw every live stream that I went into, the same thing was coming out. This is boring. This is shit. And I'm seeing like I was seeing High Stand and what's his name beat the fuck out of each other, and I'm thinking, wow, this is a great technical fight. And everyone's like, I'm bored. This is shit. Thinking, damn, man, what do they need to do?
Yeah, that one I didn't I wouldn't understand why anybody would think that wasn't, a really good fight, because it was. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know what people are looking at no more. I don't know. It wouldn't, I'm not saying it was, UFC 299. I'm not saying that, but
No, I'm not saying it was spectacular. It was a fight night that had 11 cards, that had 3 fights drop out of it at the last minute, and it wasn't that stacked to begin with. I mean, it was an awful card before we had the fallouts. And then, I think for what it was, it over delivered for me. Do you know, I give up. I'm not going to win this. Why am I bothering? It's a waste of time. I'm very sorry.
They've made it.
How's that? Are you happy, Betty? I give up. You happy, Aaron? I give up. It's over. I'm done trying to defend this card. I don't even care that much.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Whatever. I enjoyed it. Fuck you.
And you know what? That might be it. The burnout part of it, Betty. It is a lot of cards, dude. It's a lot of cards.
Thing is, we had this conversation before, didn't we, about should we have less cards that are more likely to have quality to them, more stacked. But for me, it doesn't really matter if you've got to go through this process here to get names in the first place.
Yep.
These guys have got to pay their due, so I'm kind of willing to get some. I'm willing to get a few sucky cards in between in order to, I'm thinking about the long game.
Yep. And the thing is the UFC is obligated to do 30 cards a year. They have to do 30. They have no choice but to do 30. So there's going to be some cards that that's what it's going to be. They have no choice.
Yeah. I think what Betty said is, especially as a UK, what time did the event finish for you? 12?
Yeah, about midnight.
Bro, I don't know what you lot are complaining. I don't know what Americans are complaining about.
Shouldn't be nothing.
If you're a UK fan and you're watching that until 5 a.m., I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah,
I get
for
where
sure.
you're coming from.
But if you're, I mean, there were so many other things going on at the time too. You got, which was the next thing I want to talk about, was the Frank Martin versus Tank or Gervonta Davis fight. You had that going on. So and they actually had a decent card. It wasn't just the top fight, which is becoming a theme in boxing. Like they're doing better with these, putting together a whole card. But
Yeah,
what did you think of that fight? How much of that fight did you see?
I did switch over to it, or I had it going on in the background as well. I thought
Mm-hmm.
like Martin did pretty well. Like he definitely won the first few rounds, but then you saw I think the tide started to turn in like the fourth round, and to me it was like eventually Tank's gonna bong him out. It just kind of felt that way from like the fourth round onwards. It felt like Martin was backing off a lot more,
Yeah.
and the Tank was going to chin him out at some point. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah, man, the power difference was so evident. But like Frank was fighting really, really well. Like I thought, okay, is this a person that's gonna, make Tank dig and think a little bit differently in the fight? But nah. Once he started to land some power shots, Frank felt that difference in power, and he was like, "Man, let me back up and see if I can, catch him with a shot." And it wasn't coming. It was not coming.
Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable when it got to, because I had a Tank on in a parlay to get a KO,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt pretty comfortable that that's the thing, Betty. You're right, though. I think that's what Tank
Yeah.
does. He usually finds that he kind of lulls you into a full sense of security. He did that with Garcia as well, where he made Garcia think, "Oh, I'm not getting much power back. I can step forward," and that's when you step into things and get smashed. I tell you what I didn't watch though. Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva. Did anyone see that shit?
I switched to it for like a few minutes just because it was coming up in the stream, like they were talking about it. And man, bruh, like that was such a bad fight. Like, not bad in the sense of expecting more from them. Like those are old retired fighters, really. It's not a bunch you can expect, but for it to be something that somebody paid for, like no, I
How
wouldn't
much
pay
was
for
it?
that. I don't know. I don't even know.
Basically, anything was too much. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I heard Betty that basically Silva was generously letting him survive in there, like he was piecing him up enough, but just was letting him survive. That's pretty much what I heard.
yeah. I mean, that's what I saw. He was just kind of holding them up, and I mean, we all know Chael's not a. That's not what he does. If we wanted something more competitive, we should have just did a whole mixed martial arts fight and allowed Chael to take him down. Then we would have got something different. But
I still think it wouldn't have gotten anywhere anyway.
it wouldn't have been great, but it would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I wouldn't mind seeing Tank and Lomachenko, but they just rob Lomachenko if he got to the end of the. Lomachenko doesn't win decisions no matter how well he does. We learned that in the Devin Haney fight.
Yeah, he won that fight. He beat Devin Haney, but Devin Haney has since been found out. So,
And Lomachenko's a champion now, so swings and
Mhm.
roundabouts.
Yep.
Floyd told Tank on camera to wait until Loma was old. Floyd is so dumb. Oh my god. That doesn't surprise me.
Now Lomachenko is the truth, man. He's always been the truth.
Yeah. And now that he's demonstrating that he's got a little bit of knockout power as well,
Mhm.
I'd avoid him.
Yeah.
If I was him. Tank is good though. I tell you, like for me, like Tank, Crawford, guys like that, they're all the real deal.
Mhm.
Like, whereas I always knew Haney was a bum and was gonna get slapped. So I'm not that. I didn't think Ryan Garcia would be the one to do it, but fuck.
Yeah. I wonder what happens with Ryan Garcia going forward. Like, he's just so
I'm not sure if
weird.
he's gonna pop a ban or whatnot. He probably is. Like, he's probably gonna get banned
You think so? Yeah. I don't know.
because he's having a genuine meltdown now.
Yeah, I've seen the stuff that he's been posting, and it's like, dude, I don't know what this is anymore. I don't know what's like. Is he really out of his mind?
Yeah, it was never an act. So let's be honest.
They
I thought
acted
about
like
it for
was
a
an act.
second, like, but I'm like, nah, he's not that smart. He's just genuinely off the wall. But
Yeah.
I do think Tank would beat Kambosos though. I do think he would. I do think Tank's good enough. He's just not going to take the risks. He's going to do what Floyd did and just wait for the opportunistic times to fight these guys. And that's the way it will be. Or wait for them to lose to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reduce the risk. Yeah.
It's just the way it is, man.
All right, so one thing I was going to ask you about, and we kind of talked about this. This is totally off topic of fighting, y'all. So get ready for this shit. So, have you watched, or do you remember watching the first season of the House of Dragons?
I remember, I got onto it pretty late because after the way that Game of Thrones ended, I was like, they've lost the plot here. It's so I wasn't really when I found out they were doing obviously like a spin-off, I was like, I'm not really going to give this a chance because it sucked so badly towards the end. I'm like, nah, man, I'm just not in for this. But I did end up catching it like about a year ago, and I was really like, it way exceeded my expectations. Like the cast was incredible. It was great. I'm very much looking forward to season 2, and I know it's kicking off today, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, I was the same way. Like when season, or whatever season it was it 5, 6? When it ended, Game of Thrones, like it was so anticlimactic because it's like with the whole time it was building up to, hey, somebody's got to kill this Night King dude, and then they kill him, but then we still got like 4 more episodes.
Bro, see the way they handled the entire ending of that show was it's like they were just in a rush to get it over with. That's what it felt like. It felt like the I know that the writers had got like a Star Wars project or something, and they just wanted to get off the. And the thing is, they didn't have any source material to refer to anymore, because obviously they'd more than caught up to where the J.R.R. Martin books were, and they were just like, yeah, man, like they didn't have anything to draw on, and when it was them basically riding the or steering the ship, that's when it basically crashed into a fucking mountain. So they proved what absolute frauds they are. I mean, the thing is that you had the cast coming out. You had the cast coming out before the season was even aired, saying, and they couldn't hide their contempt for the way that the whole thing went down. Like, it was very, very telling. Like, so.
I mean, there were certain episodes that I liked. Like I liked when they initially fought like the walkers, when they were at when everybody came to Winterfell and they initially fought them. I like that particular episode, but they dragged everything so far out. It was so crazy. But I don't know. House of Dragons, like they are going off of source material, so that's one. That's how it makes it different. But two, like obviously it's a brand new cast, and I feel like they learned from a lot of that foolishness.
Oh no, they did. I mean, the I can honestly say that if you haven't seen House of Dragons season 1, I'm willing to put my reputation on the line. I have no reputation. I'm willing to set my hopefully establish a reputation by saying it's definitely worth a watch. It certainly didn't disappoint me like I had no expectations going in, but the performances were solid. There was the thing is, for me, when I saw, because I'm obviously very and this is going to come to light obviously very quickly, this won't surprise people, I'm very against like the woke agenda getting overly rammed down our throats. And I was worried during the whole vignettes that it was gonna be very like centered on that shit. Like it was gonna be, oh, we're gonna have these powerful women that are just, unstoppable Mary Sues, and we were gonna get, that was gonna be and it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Like you get strong female characters, don't get me wrong, but it's not like ridiculous. Like you don't see women fucking up 9 Brock Lesnar's. You know what I mean? It's not that kind of show.
Dang, Betty. He said, "Who sends their entire cavalry into the darkness?" Nobody does. This shit was stupid. But I'm just talking about how it looked. It looked really cool
Oh yeah,
with
the
all the
thing is that
lights
you
going
couldn't.
out.
Not only do you not send your cavalry into the, but like you couldn't see what the fuck was going on.
No, it was so dark. It was when we rewatched it, and like literally like CJ's like, is there something wrong with the TV? Like turn it up.
Yeah,
Like
I
turn
said the
up.
same thing.
I was like, dude, no, we can't see it.
It's like,
We
do I
can't
need to
see
pay for this shit?
it.
My illegal stream is not really working right now.
I was like, dude, no, that's what they wanted. They wanted it to be dark like that. But
It sucked.
House of Dragons
But
is a lot different, I would say.
no, it's definitely. I would say it's definitely worth watching. It's definitely worth watching. I would and you can probably get it done in a, you know, if you're a bum like me, you could very easily get it done in, a day and a half or so.
Anybody listening to Melisandre was just a bad idea. But
Yeah, it's like the characters got dumb overnight. I mean, you could go into like with Littlefinger, with Varys, with what's his name, Tyrion. They all became just insanely retarded overnight. Like I could go on about how much it literally feels like you're watching two completely different shows.
it does. It really does.
But
It
don't let
really
it put
does.
you off House of the Dragon, because House of the Dragon is good. It's
Yeah.
better than good, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would definitely give it a shot.
Absolutely. I'm in for the premiere. So whenever we get off
Mind
of
you,
here, that's
we'll,
when I'm
we'll
going.
recommend it now, and then season 2 will be utter bullshit, and then everyone's going to call us all stupid. So
Hey, I didn't
let's.
write it. We're just recommending
Season
based
one
on
is
what I think will happen.
season one is good. I can say that comfortably, but I'm advocating for anything that might be going forward, because we don't know. But they've definitely set it up well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know? Yeah, I'm very curious to see what people. Do you know? First of all, we are obviously going to talk about the greatest stand up comedians of all time today. But before we kind of get into it, like I do want to. There were obviously a lot of people who weren't here from when we did the initial. So we have covered some comedians already, which we're going to display in a minute. So before we get into the new ones that we're going to look at, I thought what we could do is maybe at some point we can put up the one we did last. Oh, by the way, this is a reminder. The reason why some of you would have missed the first one is because you're not subscribed to the Frankie and Jax channel, which is where we're going to be operating with like general topics from moving forward. So get yourself over to there, because we're going to be doing stuff like this. We've got loads of things in the pipeline already. But yeah, we did cover some comedians last. I think it was Wednesday, right?
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
So I'm going to be interested what some people think about what we've got so far.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's see what people think.
And we are willing to open the conversation back up again, because I think there was like 7 or 8 people in here that day.
Yeah,
So
something
like
like
we've got
that.
a few more in here today. There may be some instant outrage before we even get going on the next part of the list.
And that's cool. You know, y'all disagree, whatever. I don't care. But let's see. Let me get this QR code out the way. All right, so check it out. This is what we got so far. So we got, and I added a tier, by the way. So we got the GOAT tier, and so far we got Billy C in there, Bill Cosby. We got Richard Pryor. We got Bill Burr in the GOAT category. And we got the great category. In the great category, we got Patrice O'Neal. We got Chris Rock. In the good category, we got Cat Williams. In the other categories that we don't have anything in, but I'm sure we will eventually.
I
We
have a
got
feeling we're going to add to this today. I just have a feeling.
we got overrated. We got meh, and then we got just absolute shit. So I'm pretty sure y'all know what that means. Y'all know what those mean. So
I thought we did shave Dave Chappelle on Wednesday.
we didn't do it. We didn't.
I'm definitely gonna
We
see
hinted at Dave Chappelle, but we did not do it.
his name came up a few times for sure.
Yes. Yes. You see, I got Mitch Hedberg in here. and I got Joe Coy. Now, mind you, these are not all the people that we're going to eventually talk about, but I just threw some on there just in case we get past these 6 for whatever reason. So,
And it was based on what the chat was saying as well. So if you the chat, I think the chat asked for Koi, and they asked for who's the brother with the long hair.
Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. That's going to be
Ducks
short on my
Ducks
part.
love sun chips. So that's one of his bits. But okay, chat. Which one of these people on the left hand side here do y'all want to talk about? Got George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Bernie Mac, Bill Nix, Kevin Hart, Joe Coy, Mitch Hedberg. And actually, I will say this: let's not talk about Mitch Hedberg on this one. We can wait on Mitch. So everybody else, Bernie Mac. Okay, Aaron said Bernie Mac.
We can do Bernie Mac.
Okay, cool.
I'm good with Bernie.
All right. Do you want to jump that one off, or you want me to?
Yeah, you can go.
All
You
right.
can go.
So first of all, Bernie Mac. Obviously, y'all know he's one of the original kings of comedy. Went on the tour with Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, and from those 4 people, they said that he was the best. And add on to that, he went last on most of the sets. When they actually were doing the tour around the United States, they would switch it up. But when they hit the big cities, he was the one that closed the show. And y'all know the person that closes the show is the one that's the headliner. So from them, they said that he was the best out of them. Add in what he did on Def Comedy Jam. I'm not even going to talk about what he did in movies and the Bernie Mac show and all that. Forget all that. Like, just stand up wise, in my opinion, the lowest that you could possibly go with this dude is great. That's the lowest you can go. It's either GOAT or great. I lean towards great only because of the lack of specials that we know of, like full 1 hour specials that we know of. But if we went towards GOAT, I would not be mad at that either.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the same lines of thinking as you. Like he was kind of the person who had like, like luck equals preparation plus opportunity. Like when he was given the opportunity to get into the spotlight, he was more than ready for it. And it's as you said, like the fact that he was the closing act on that lineup kind of says a lot about where his standing was. But I will say this though, this is a little bit of a spoiler for what's to come, but like I think he benefited as well from the fact that the other guys in that lineup weren't that strong. Like I think he was like significantly better than the other 3, and like literally planets ahead of one person in particular that I'm going to get to later. um, but no, like Bernie was special, obviously, in that like he kind of like he was able to control an audience like nobody. Like the audience reactions tell a lot about how good somebody is live.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I would often watch like Bernie stuff, and he had the kind of stuff where you're not like kind of tittering and a bit and chuckling a little bit. He would come out with laugh, like split your stomach type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he landed a punchline, it was huge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would get you to laugh out loud hard, like genuinely. Obviously, the humor and everything was really, really relatable.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm with you. Like, I think if he had a longer standing career in terms of being the main guy, he actually has 0 solo specials.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have any singular solo specials, which for me instantly keep him out of the GOAT conversation. He hasn't had a show entirely by himself. He's never done it. And it's like I said, I think that part of what made him great was like whenever you stood him up against other people, the talent he was generally working with were significantly lower on the scale than he was. And I think that made him seem even more impactful than he potentially was. I think if he'd had more specials and had more of an opportunity to do that, and I think the fact that he was able to transfer to different things, like the Bernie Mac show was great. And I know we're specifically talking about stand-up here, but I think it becomes relevant when the person is able to transfer those things to different things.
Yeah.
and he was able to do that. Like he was funny in a number of movies. He obviously had the TV show where you could see elements of his stand-up personality in those performances. So I would have him at great as well. But I think like it's that lack of like a good solo special. And the fact that he was very much relatable to a certain demographic, like he wasn't like, maybe I'm going too far here, but I wouldn't say he was mainstream funny in that way. Like he wasn't relatable to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, that's how he was seen. I personally don't see it that way, but that's a criticism he's often picked up. So I would say he's great
true.
with elements of GOAT, but he just didn't have the body of work to you can't put him next to a Pryor and
No.
a Bill Burr because
No,
of
you
that, in
can't.
my opinion.
Yeah, I think to put it in terms of like MMA, I feel like he's a fighter that never made it to the UFC, not because he wasn't good enough, but because it just didn't happen, and he beat everybody that he fought before that. And so we don't really know how great he could have been because he just never did it. And that kind of goes to his national acclaim that really only came from his show and in the movies that he was in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and again, he was really good on Def Jam, but again, the most of the stuff we saw from him was in collaboration. That's what it was. And I mean, I wouldn't shit on people for having Cat above him in a way, because like Cat at least had 2 knock it out of the park stand-ups, and we talked about it before.
He did. Yeah.
Like if you go back and look at the first one, I feel like it seems like we're shitting on Cat by putting him in good, but it was more to do with like what he did outside those 2 specials that we basically said he was good with elements of great. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I love how you guys are somehow managing to relate this to MMA. This could be like a running theme. Like everything we talk about, we end up relating it back to what brought us to the
It's
dance.
easy. It is easier to do it that way. He's more like the Gegard Mousasi. Gegard Mousasi, super like. Actually, that's a pretty good comparison.
It's a pretty good analogy.
Because what Gegard was, what was he, a champion? Dream, Strike Force, Bellator, like, yeah, that's a
that is a really good comparison. Like he was kind of like the big fish in a small pond.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, because if you go to Chicago, like if you ask anybody in Chicago, like who's the GOAT, like they're going to say Bernie Mac. That's what they're going to say. Yeah. That's how much they love that dude.
And again, I will point out, that's very telling, because we're going to talk about this with other guys as well who people might not agree with. It's very telling how your peers talk about you. So Bernie Mac was one of those ones who was like a comedian's comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Like amongst his peers, he was seen as like one of the greatest ever. And again, it's one of those ones where it was a very similar argument we made about Patrice O'Neal. Like Patrice O'Neal had elements of GOAT about him. He was very diversive and whatnot, but the body of work in the actual stand-up arena just isn't there.
Yeah.
And you have to base it on that, like, because there are certain factors you have to hit. And I think longevity and an ability to adapt is a key component when you're talking about like GOAT level greats in anything.
Yep.
And that's why those guys kind of miss out for me.
Totally agree with that. Totally agree. All right, so Betty mentioned George Carlin, so he said that there's racial discrimination. So I want to make sure we get to George Carlin.
It's a racially discriminate industry, to be fair. We might as well just call it how it is. Like the majority of certainly the more modern greats, the recency bias is definitely favored in one demographic. We'll put it that way.
It's true. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but it's facts. But
we can get some. I mean, Bill Burr is Bill Burr technically white? I don't even know.
Yeah, he's Irish. No, yeah, he's Irish, I think. Ain't he?
Irish people aren't really white. They don't count.
I mean,
I know being one, like.
Yeah. Well, he's not black. I'll say that. He's not black.
No.
But he's
something.
He's a part of the black community. I can tell you that. His wife is black. She's very black.
Did you say she's very black? Oh man, that's gonna be something I remember at the end of this one. Yeah, Bill Burr's wife is very black.
Very black.
Yeah.
Okay, so George Carlin. All right.
We'll do George Carlin, yeah. Um, yeah, George Carlin is going to be a divisive one. I think like in terms of his strengths, he was very much like he was kind of seen very much as like a thinking man's comic, you know, and he used humor really well to kind of like defend like real life social issues, which I think is a very relatable way to do your and he was very revolutionary in that.
Yeah.
What always used to impress me about George Carlin is he always seemed to find a way of like persuading you to his way of thinking. So he would give certain viewpoints and he'd put them in a way where it kind of made you go, yeah, man, I kind of agree with this guy, even if you went into it not agreeing, which I think is a very powerful thing to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I liked about him as well is he didn't dumb things down for his audience. You know how you get that a lot in like mainstream comedy?
Yeah.
He wouldn't like dumb his if you didn't get it, he didn't care.
Yeah, it's true.
He was very much like he wanted the audience to think about what he was saying. And he wouldn't often be very direct. And he was somebody who was great like observationally. The one thing I would say on the negative side is like sometimes his delivery was sometimes a little bit rapid and it was kind of hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
And due to the kind of intellectual nature of his comedy, sometimes it was very hit and miss. Like some of his bits were either they'd slap or they'd be very much like, what's this guy talking about? It was very much like that kind. It was very nuanced humor.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he would focus a lot more on trying to make, and certainly later on in his career, he kind of focused more on the social commentary aspect of it than the humor. It felt like he was going in there to kind of make a point about to put a mirror up to society more than to make people laugh, and that's not to everyone's taste.
Yeah.
But I think for what he did in terms of being a pioneer, for me, I'd have him somewhere along the. Again, I'd have him somewhere between great and GOAT. I'd probably have him probably at great.
Great.
Another one with great with elements of GOAT for me. But
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said. Like he was so clever. Like he was like he kind of reminded me, and it is because he's white. I'll say this straight up. Like it is because he's white. He's like the Eminem of comedy. Like because
I would have had Bill Burr as the Eminem of comedy. To be fair,
well,
but I see what
I'm
you're saying.
okay. I'll say the Larry Bird of comedy. How about that? Where it's
Fine.
like
I'll take that.
he um in an era that was like super dominated by a certain type of comedian, like he was still able to thrive and was respected by those same comedians, that type of thing. He was unbelievably gifted with like his wit and his intelligence, and like you said, he didn't change for anybody. Like he just was who he was going to be, and like his ability to do like the bit that he did with the 7 words you can't say on TV, like that was such genius writing. Like it was amazing. And I think for me, that's another person that the lowest you can put him is great. Like I can't put him at good. Like the lowest I can put him is at great. And I don't know. Like for me, if I were like weighing it, like I actually weigh him a little bit closer to GOAT level. For me, I actually lean that way. I think he was that good.
So
And
why don't we throw up a poll then while we're at it to the chat and see like if we can determine between whether maybe we could have 3 sections where we can say great, GOAT. Because I don't know. I mean, some people might say he's just good. I don't know. He's very much a very like I don't know. He's divisive in that way. I guess he's not for everyone.
yeah, true.
That's the thing about comedy. It is very much like it's a subjective thing. That's the disclaimer we maybe should, because we said that at the beginning of the first one. There's people on here that we're gonna love and you're gonna hate. There's people that I'm gonna hate and you're gonna love, and it just is the way that comedy is. Like, it's very, very much down to your own preferences. But we're kind of trying to look at it under the sphere of like influence, longevity. Those should be key factors when determining, I guess. So maybe we can see what the chat thinks about that.
Yeah, let's see. Let me actually, while I'm doing that, I'm gonna put him in the middle for now. For now. But
Sounds
I'm
good.
see if I can figure out this freaking
Yeah, so
poll thing while you're doing that.
You just have to go into your YouTube. It's not in Restream, is it? Yeah, Carlin was quite a character. I personally found his delivery obnoxious and irritating. That's the thing. Like, he did rub. Like, I'm not the biggest Carlin. Like, I didn't even find Carlin that funny. If I'm being honest, like, I didn't. I've seen a lot of his material over the years because he's just one of those guys because he was doing it from such an early stage. And one thing that he did was he's another one who vaulted stand-up comedy into being a mainstream thing. Like, he deserves credit for that, even if he wasn't your. That's where it kind of lays for me. It's like, I didn't personally find him that funny, but I found him enjoyable, persuasive, and I can see why a lot of people have him at the very top. I can get it. I can appreciate that people see him that way without necessarily feeling that way myself. And that also says a lot as well. Because often with comedians that you don't like, and there are going to be comedians on this list that come up, where people are going to say they like them, and I'm like, nah, they're fucking terrible.
Yeah, so it's gonna happen.
We're
doing the easy stuff right now.
We're doing the easy stuff. Yeah, we have to start getting into we're going to start getting into the more controversial ones, I think, or the more polarizing ones, should I say? But no, in terms of him, I would definitely say he's. You can see the mixture in the chat here. Betty's like, he was a bit kind of. Sometimes he was a bit condescending, is a way that I would put it, and that comes across from like not dumbing stuff down.
Yeah,
like
I think that condescending thing, like that's what made him, like, his ability to be condescending, but really kind of explain his point, like where he was coming from, and still be funny at the same time. He was obnoxious if you don't like that type of person, though. I can see that. I can see that. But if you're open to, like, okay, let me hear what this idiot has to say, and then he says something, you're like, damn, you do kind of got a point, and that shit was funny.
It's that persuasive element. Like, he made you think the way that he was thinking, even if it's like I said, he was very persuasive.
Yeah,
and I like that. Yeah.
So yeah, I threw the poll up. We'll see what they say, man. But yeah, I got him. I lean towards GOAT. For him. But
Carlin's life story was quite interesting. There's a podcast I listened to that did a great job of telling his story. I wouldn't mind taking a look at that.
Yeah, what's that podcast, man? I'm very interested in that.
People see the poll. Is it up?
Yeah, it should be up. Yeah, we got some got a couple of votes in there yet. So yeah, it's up.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right. So while that's cooking, let's move on to another one. Let's talk about or actually, what do y'all want to talk about?
Time Suck podcast of Dan Cummins. I'll check that out.
I've heard of Dan Cummins.
So who do you guys want to talk about next?
Let's see. Oh yeah, Dan Cummins. He was on Smart List before. Yeah, heard of that dude.
I'm not too familiar with him. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep, appreciate it.
Oh, the poll is over in it's in the Frankie and Jax one. I see. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's 50-50 GOAT and great right now.
Maybe we should leave him in between for now and just see how the and we'll kind of keep going with whoever people want to talk about next.
Yeah, yeah. Y'all keep voting. Yeah, who do y'all want to talk about next? You know what? You know what? Fuck it. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and talk about Kevin Hart.
Do we have to?
Yeah, yeah. He's here. His face is there.
Yeah, Clinton, we're definitely gonna get onto Dave.
We'll do Dave right after we do Kevin.
We'll do Kevin Hart and then we'll do Dave. Kevin
Yeah.
Hart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep this one brief. Um, like in terms of like whatever metric you put forward, like if you think about like success to talent ratio, like the amount of
Mm-hmm.
success someone has to the amount of talent they had, I think this man is probably the worst mainstream comedian of all time. I'm going that far. I hate Kevin Hart. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's fucking shit. Like, I'm going to go as far to say, yeah, whether you want to talk about his stand up, his movies, TV shows he's been in, when he's been in interviews, this prick has never made me laugh once. And what really pisses me off about him, yeah, is there are so many people that go on like they suck his ballsack and go on like he's the funniest thing ever. He is fucking dreadful. I'm done. I've got nothing positive to say. He's fucking awful.
So you would put him in the shit category.
I'd put him
I
in
would think.
shit. If there was a rung below shit, I'd put him in there. He's the worst. I hate that cunt. He's
All
awful.
right. So I have a different opinion. I actually think that Kevin Hart is pretty great, but I think that most people that do like Kevin Hart would put him that do really like Kevin Hart would put him in the GOAT category, and I don't think that he's anywhere near that. I think that his numbers say that he's in the GOAT category, but I don't
never
think that
understood.
I don't think that he's in the GOAT category. Um, his first two specials that he did, I'm a grown little man, and then I can't remember the name of the second one, but like those two specials were very, very, very good. However, what happened with Kevin Hart is, in my opinion, is he start seeing, his worth and start seeing the opportunity out there, and
Mm.
he spammed it. He
I
abused
mean, he's the
it
biggest.
with
He's a massive
everything.
sellout. There's no and I think he kind of killed it. I think he killed it stone dead for me when he. And I know he got a lot of criticism for this. How you doing, Fugazi, brother? Um, I think like he killed it for me when he wore a dress. I think that was it. I think that was
Well,
game over for me.
um, I mean, there's a lot of comedians that wear dresses, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of them.
How many
And
white comedians wear dresses?
Robin Williams definitely wore a dress.
Yeah, but Robin Williams was a special case.
But I don't know. You're right though. I can't think of a ton. Can't think of a ton. But he did wear a dress. Didn't like that. Didn't like that. And to me, like that was the period of oversaturation. Like he was on everything. Everything you turned on. I mean, even now, I turn on the NBA finals. There's a whole finals cast where he is doing the cast of it. And why is he doing it? Because they offered it to him, and he's a part of the network and got paid for it. He's getting paid, but like that
I mean, if
oversaturation
this
is
was a
too
category
much.
about how much, like in terms of success,
Mm-hmm.
his success is undeniable, and that's for me where the disparity comes in. It's like if you look at the success he's had and the amount of talent he has, he's genuinely never even got a from me, not even once. I think he's fucking shit.
Let me see. Let me look back at
The
his.
thing is that if we're not going to put Kevin Hart in shit, there shouldn't even be a shit category. That's how deeply I feel about this.
So
He is abysmal.
so we
There are
are
going to be
on.
some women.
Oh,
There's
go
going to
ahead.
be some women we talk about later or at some point that I'm going to put above Kevin Hart, and they're shit.
He's better
We
than
know
Sarah
we're not
Silverman.
funny.
Sarah Silverman for me is the epitome of the shit category. Like that. If there's a face of the shit category, that would be her.
I don't know
But
how we're going to deal with it. I'm willing. I'm maybe willing to be generous and say he's shit with elements of meh. And I feel like I'm being generous here because I think the general consensus in the chat is like he's okay or he's meh.
so I'll put it to you guys. I think the highest that we can go with this is the highest that we could go is overrated, but I'm not willing to put him in the shit category. So would y'all do overrated or meh for Kevin Hart? That
I'm boiling right now. He is so shit.
and by the way, they put Carlin in the GOAT category.
So we've got
Yep.
that's. I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that.
So let's dip him up here. You really hate Kevin Hart.
I genuinely do. I genuinely do. Yeah, I'm
You
gonna
know what?
Fugazi, by the way, Fugazi's starting out in his MMA journey as well. So if you want to be part of a new up and coming channel that's very entertaining, jump on Fugazi MMA. I'm gonna hit you up on Twitter as well, bro. Thanks for we'll definitely do some stuff.
Oh man.
I hate Kevin Hart. I hate him so much. Like I didn't even want to talk about him. Like it's just I didn't want to bring that kind of energy into a Sunday evening. He's awful.
Oh man. I wonder if I'm gonna have somebody that I feel like that. I mean, only ones are probably Sarah Silverman, and there's one other person that I feel like their stand up is absolute garbage. But um, we'll get to them.
Yeah.
So okay, I threw up a
I'm
poll. Where does Kevin Hart belong? Overrated or meh? See how that goes. I don't have high hopes. Appreciate you, Western. Um, all right. So that one was easy to talk about. Let me put him down here.
It was painful for me. I think he's awful. Yeah.
All right. So, um, who
We said
was
we
it?
do Dave. We said we do Dave next, I
Oh, that's
guess.
right.
Which
Yeah. Clinton mentioned Dave. So let's talk about Dave.
yeah, this is again this is easy for me, but like kind of in the opposite direction. Yeah. You've got to have him a goat, really. You've got to. The storytelling ability, the relatability, like even like his sketch shows managed to and you know that sketch shows are like generally they're shit. Like he managed to make sketch shows funny and iconic, which for me is like that's goat level shit by itself. And the reason why I bring up the sketch shows is because obviously a lot of his stand up stuff was part of that as well. It was very much part of what made the Chappelle Show great, because it was obviously spliced in between. He's somebody that obviously stands up against the machine as well, and he's brazen in the face of cancel culture. So he's managed to reinvent himself moving forward. He's got incredible longevity, incredible perfect timing. Um, his movies suck. I do need to give that a mention. Like whenever he's appeared in a movie, they've been or been behind a movie, they've been shit. And he is getting a little bit egotistical these days. And sometimes the stereotyping stuff he does can be like it gets criticized. I personally don't have an issue with it because I think I'm the kind of person where I think nothing should be off bounds in comedy, and I think he does it in a like he does it in a kind of a way that doesn't really cross the line for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like it's you'd be hard pressed to make a case to say that he shouldn't be considered one of the greatest of all time. For me, he is the greatest of all time. Like he's my number one. So this is probably the easiest one for me. I got Dave Chappelle firmly in GOAT.
So Dave Chappelle, I've seen Dave Chappelle live one time, and it was at a comedy festival, and it was one of the worst sets I've ever seen in my life. It was so bad, and even though I saw that and it was so bad, he is still the greatest comedian that I've ever seen in my life. That's how good that dude is in person. When I saw, you could tell he was going through some stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah. There was that
what?
period in his career where he was
Yeah,
really, really pissed off.
yeah, he was very angry, and his stuff that he's done on Netflix has chronicled all of that anger. Um,
Yeah.
he's like you said, he's a great storyteller. He's great at setting up jokes. He's great at the technical part of it, being able to tag a joke
Mm,
over and over again if he needs to. Like, and he's been in the game since he was 14, kind of like the dude that's right next to him. And if you ask anybody else on this, outside of the
he's
people
your
who
goat.
didn't get to see him, all of them
Yeah,
will say he's a goat. All of them,
yeah,
every single
yeah.
one.
He's another comedian. Like he's the comedian's goat as well. Like among
Yeah,
his peers, he's seen as number one
yeah,
primarily. Like, and again, I can kind of, and he doesn't have to do things like he didn't have to go on. He was never somebody who went on stage and would like overdo things, which you get from a lot of comedians. And more people were gonna, it's something I'm gonna bring up about some comedians we're gonna talk about down the line. Where they feel like they've got to be overly physical, or do you know what I mean? They had to throw some slapstick in there or put on funny voices or shit like that. He's never really had to do that. And I mean, he does a really good white guy voice. I have to throw that
Mhm.
in there as well. Like his impression of a white guy is goat level by itself.
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
literally, like, damn, like that hurt. That
Yeah.
makes
So, like for me, like I mentioned on the stream on Wednesday that Bill Burr is probably the one that I watched the most.
yeah, yeah.
Dave Chappelle is right behind it. Right behind it. Um, I mean, he's
And the thing is, it's the stand up. He's again, we spoke about this as a factor as well. How many good specials has this guy done? He's had some. His worst specials are still great,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he's probably got 3 4 specials that are just funny from beginning to end, like seamless. And it's what you said, like there are certain guys that are just at that point because they put the graft in. They just, they've gone through that stage, where you have to go through years and years of getting up there and bombing and just like
hmm,
refining your act. He's one of those guys that went through that process and it shows
yeah,
because his
yeah,
act is like tight. It's tight. Like he could literally do an hour no problem and just light it up from minute one to minute end.
hmm,
Like, and he just has memorable bits that kind of like stick out,
yeah.
you know. And
So,
again, it's the longevity. It's the longevity. The one thing I would say that's a really unfortunate thing is like obviously the way that things went down for him in the industry. When he got he had that issue with Comedy Central, and then we
mhm.
didn't see him for like a decade. That's one thing that kind of was disappointing about his career, and the fact that he kind of felt forced and jaded to take a hiatus.
Yeah, but I think it kind of went. I think it worked out for him in the sense that
Yeah.
he was able to kind of reassess his life. The thing about comedy is, if you're not living, you can't get good material. If you're
Mm.
just,
On the road
just
all the time and doing that. Yeah.
you're not gonna get good material. You have to live. It's just like music. Like if you're not living, how are you gonna write good stuff?
Yeah.
So he had to go and live, and he was able to come back with amazing material, amazing stuff. And he grew up and grew into his comedy. Well, that's what a lot of comedians are very good at certain periods of their life, and then when they transition to another period, they aren't able to evolve. And he was able to evolve, and he's just getting funnier. And that's
Yeah.
kind of part of what happens with these god tier, these goat tier level people. Like they are evolving, or they
Mm.
evolved as they got older, and so did their comedy. Um, Western or no, not Western, but Betty asked what a great Chappelle joke is. There's so many, but one that kind of sticks out to me, and it's not like it was just the funniest joke that he ever told. It was just how hard it was, and he set the level of difficulty when he set up the joke. It was in one of his specials. He gave the punchline before he said the joke. So he said, "Okay,
Kicker in the
y'all,
pussy, was it?
yeah, mm-hmm, yeah," and he said, I'm gonna give y'all the punchline," and then he did the joke. Like,
And then worked backwards.
yes, like, come on now, like that's tough. That's really tough. So
I think killing them softly in general. I mean, that's the one that was probably my favorite of his like specials of all time. I think that kills it from beginning to end. But
yeah,
I've viewed that like again. This is very hard to do in comedy, but usually when I've seen a special once, I may get a belly laugh from certain people, and I'm like, yeah, this. And we're going to talk about that again with some people later on down the line. I can go back and watch his specials a year down the line and laugh the same way again.
yeah,
Like it just
hmm,
he's special in that way. Bill Burr has the same effect on me.
absolutely,
Like where it's just you can watch them over and over and still enjoy them like you're watching them for the first time.
hmm,
So
yeah,
yeah, for me, he's got to be GOAT. I think it's undeniable. I think like he's like I said, for me, he's number one. When you consider, like I'll be honest, I can be direct and say this here. I said this in the last stream. Like I have Bill Burr as my number two, but again, it's very much like I would say I probably watch Bill Burr more. Funnily enough, I'm like you in that regard. Like I just think Bill Burr is somebody that I could just keep going back to.
yeah, yeah. It's like that. He is definitely he's my number one as well. Um, my number two is different, but it's not far off from Bill Burr. I wouldn't say like Bill Burr's like right there in that same level of comedian for sure.
Yeah, I'm happy. I think you can't have him anywhere other than GOAT.
All right, let's talk about one more, and then we can talk about some other stuff. But I want to talk about Eddie Murphy.
Cool. I can run with Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
We do have others to throw in later on down the lineup. We are going to talk about people like Louis C.K. and
Yep.
people like that. So they are going to get a mention. We're even going to talk about Seinfeld as much as I don't really want to.
We are going to
Um,
talk about Seinfeld.
there's going to be people everyone's going to get. And by the way, if there are some people that you want to see spoken about on the next one, I don't know if we're going to do the stand up one and the next on the Wednesday one. We're probably because we've got an idea that we want to do based on the streams we've been doing this week. Which I'm not going to talk about too much yet, but we are going to. There is something we've all been talking about in streams over the last week that we're going to bring to the forefront on Wednesday. But if there's a comedian that you want to bring up and have ranked and have a say in where they should be ranked,
Yeah.
throw them in the chat and we will definitely put them on the list. And also a reminder that eventually, over the next few months, we're going to be phasing out showing this stuff on our channels, and it's going to be exclusively on the Frankie and Jax channel. So if you can subscribe to that one, it's only been up for like a week or so. But yeah, eventually we'll just be doing the general stuff over there. So just a quick reminder about that. All right. So Eddie, do you want to go first?
Um, I can. So Eddie Murphy, like to me, like I mean, dating myself, like I mean, Eddie Murphy was like the comedian that I saw growing up. Like that was the guy. Like when I the first special that I saw, comedy special that I saw actually was Sinbad. But then after that, it was Delirious. And I went to school quoting all that stuff. Like that was
Mm,
just the guy for me. And I've always been pretty reverent to Eddie Murphy and everything that he's done. Even like the shitty movies that he's done, and there's a lot of those.
mm,
I was like, it's because of this or it's because of that. Very much an apologist, almost John Jones level. Like I'm like, maybe this is what was going on. I don't know. What are picograms? I don't know. But with Eddie Murphy, his his two specials are so explosive and so big. And he did it when he was so young, very much like John Jones getting the belt when he was young, Mike Tyson getting the belt when he was young. The way that Michael Jordan blew up, it's it's a very similar meteoric rise.
Mm.
So for me, what factors into where I put him on this list always goes back to how the other comedians look at him. And all the other comedians, you, you ask the ones that me and you both have at the top tier, even the one that didn't like him, Bill Cosby, he would say that he's a GOAT level comedian. I can
Mm.
guarantee it. Eddie Murphy does not belong anywhere other than GOAT level. And if he would have done more than two specials, he might have made this an even more difficult conversation. I have Dave Chappelle over Eddie Murphy, and that's because Dave Chappelle has just done more.
Mm.
But if Eddie Murphy would have done more, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But I got him in go tier, no question for me.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I'm sort of along similar lines. I do mostly agree. Obviously, like, I mean, you mentioned he had some really stinky movies, and he did. He had some iconically good movies as well, or some movies that at least were,
Mm-hmm.
they made an impact, and he showed that
Yeah,
he could transfer himself over there, which I do think is important. He was obviously a really emotive performer, very confident as well on stage. The way he commanded the stage at such a young age was incredible. And what I liked about him as well was he had like really good range, so he could do like long form jokes and short term jokes, and it never really felt like it was necessarily a storytelling kind of aspect. It felt like he was just getting up there and just talking. It felt very
mm-hmm.
sort of, how with a lot of comedians, one thing that I often cuts me from the greats to the people that are good are, when it seems like it's overly contrived, like you can see where they're kind of waiting to do the next bit, or they're setting things up. With him, it just felt very like it had a natural kind of flow to it.
Yeah,
Um, he was obviously one of the trailblazers in kind of addressing issues such as like race identity, social commentary. He did have that fearlessness that became a standmark in comedy as well. And he was a great troll. Like the way he would hit, like one thing that stood out in the early days was he would attack people that you wouldn't expect him to attack. So like MJ and James Brown, for example, were two that stand out to me. They were
yeah, he
like
did.
god level people, and he just went for them.
Yep.
Like they almost had a godlike status on Earth, and he was just ripping the piss. Um, on the detraction side is kind of what you alluded to. Like I don't think his material has aged as well, but that was I don't think you can give any like too much discredit for that, because if you grew up in that era, you can place yourself back in it when you're watching him. I think if you're somebody who's new, who's watching it now, who's never watched him, and you didn't live in that era, it would be harder to translate some of the material that he had. Um, but I think what stops him from being GOAT level for me is again the thing we alluded to. His two specials were out of the park, amazing, and he probably deserves to be in GOAT status just for those two alone. But because of the level of success he had and the fact that he moved into other mediums so quickly, I felt like he was not in the game for long enough to be alongside certain people. Like, and I think if he'd had that longevity, and obviously if he'd been in the game longer, it would be without question for me. But he was in the game for a very, very short space of time, and for me, that's why I kind of have him at great more than GOAT. But that's just my
I kind
opinion.
like my logic is kind of like this. Like if we're and this is a precursor. I'll tell y'all this out the gate because we're going to talk about it one day. I kind of relate his career, even though he's alive. I kind of relate it to the same way that people view Biggie. Biggie had two studio albums, two
Mm,
two studio albums, but those two studio albums were amazing.
yeah,
Now, Tupac had a whole bunch of studio albums, but Biggie's two studio albums, people will, I mean, they will fight you if you say that he's not GOAT level.
that's
And
a fair point.
I kind of view Eddie very similar to that. Like, if you were to ask anybody who, and kind of to your point, who kind of lived during that time or around that time, it's undeniable. It's undeniable that he's GOAT level. But that is my caveat. Is I mean, there isn't a lot of work there as far as
There
those
was a very
specials.
short there was a very short space, and I think like, by the way, Black Betty, Norm Macdonald is on the list. I thought we were going to talk about Norm today.
He is
Like,
on the list.
I was ready to go. Norm is definitely on there. And he's definitely going to get some time. He has to. It's like comparing Khabib to John Jones. I get. Yeah, I guess again this is another. It depends on what you view as necessary to be a goat. Because it's weird. The point you brought up about Biggie, I'd probably say the same thing. Or I'd say a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he's a GOAT level guy, but again, like I need to see for me to the GOAT thing is such a difficult thing to quantify, but like for me, longevity and having a long like a great series of work to go to is highly important for that. And the reason why I didn't bring it up as much with Pryor is because like he was literally the like you can see where his influence has continued. Like so even though he wasn't in the game for as long as he could have been, and he didn't have the amount of specials he could have had, you can still
Yeah.
see where he influenced Eddie Murphy, and like there are certain comedians that still carry that prior way of going about things. So it's like, and I don't see it the same way with Eddie,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, it's all a matter of opinion. I'd have him at great, but it's not like I'm shitting on the guy and being like he wasn't great because he was. It's just that I wish there'd been more. Is more for me
Definitely. Definitely.
with
And
Eddie.
like Betty bringing up Habib, like it kind of goes in line with what you were saying. I wish there was more.
Yeah.
I definitely wish there was more. But I mean, even in Habib, like you know, he's in consideration for that GOAT tier when it comes to. But you got to put other people on it. It can't
No,
just
it's not.
be him.
By the way, it's not just American comedians. I do it because we are
Yeah.
going to talk about Ricky Gervais and people like that as well. We've got some people
Yep.
coming up. I had
These
a
are just
good,
obvious ones.
yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those ones there. When we got into thinking about doing stand up, it was like you just realize how extensive it is. There's like so much to There are so many guys, and it will be something we go back to. Bernard Manning, fucking up that guy. I don't mind talking about Bernard Manning at some point.
So where do you want to put? Where are you thinking of putting them? You know where my vote is.
I mean, I don't mind putting him in GOAT under the recognition that I would have him below. I mean, we had the same issue when we talked about Cosby. Like Cosby was never my guy, but I can recognize why people see him in GOAT as GOAT status. I have a good one for you guys. Yo, we'll catch up with you soon, bro. Um, I don't mind having him in GOAT,
Yeah.
but it's like because like I said, he was influential, and he does have two GOAT specials. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
Like for me, he's more like great with like could have been the GOAT with more material, but I don't mind. I'm not salty at having him in GOAT. I feel like we've been so nice though. Like, you know, we've obviously tackled the main ones, and it's like if you look at this list, it's like, wow, these are nice guys that think all these guys are talented and great. And it's like we all have I think I'm mostly just like I wanted to see Kevin Hart in the toilet. Really where my head's still at.
Well,
The hatred I
They
have
put
for
him
that
in
guy
meh.
is
They put him in meh. So
yeah, I'll
so
let you put Murphy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was gonna say I'll let you put Murphy in GOAT if you let me put Kevin Hart in meh, which I
fair
still
enough.
feel is being generous
It's a
because
good
he is
trade.
fucking awful.
It's a good trade. It's a good trade.
Trade off.
Man, boy, he would be so upset. Okay. All right. So next time, I mean, we got these three, but we'll throw Norm McDonald on here.
Yeah, we are gonna throw
And
Norm. We talked about. Let me just think about some of the others we were gonna throw in there as well. Red Fox was one we talked about as well.
oh yeah,
Louis
yeah.
C.K., Ricky Gervais, Martin Lawrence, Cedric the Entertainer. We're going to talk about Steve Harvey, which I'm not overly excited about, or maybe I am very excited about that. I don't know. Depends on what way you want to go with. DL Huey, Eddie Griffin. We are very American heavy, but like we are gonna. I mean, we can get into guys like Jimmy Carr and people like that if you want to.
We can.
I don't mind talking about Jimmy Carr.
So yeah, next time let's bring up Norm. We'll talk about Louis C.K. And who else?
Steve Martin was somebody we brought up. Russell Peters.
Ooh, let's just put him on here. Russell Peters. That's a good one.
Is it? No, I don't want to spoil too much. I'm not going to get into that.
It's part of the conversation.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr's a funny one. Jimmy Carr's definitely like. I'm not going to get too much into it now, but Jimmy Carr's definitely an acquired taste.
I'm familiar with him. I'm familiar.
And he looks like a. I mean, he recently got like a. He went to Turkey and got his teeth done recently. He looks like a. I don't even know how to describe. Like
let me add a couple on here that I think will have some interesting takes on.
8 seconds is all I need for Sarah Silverman.
Well, some.
I'd like to hear your thoughts about Bill Hicks and Sam Kennison. Oh, we were definitely going to talk about those. I've got like a Bill Hicks is definitely going to get he's definitely going to get some time, and we will do Sam Kennison as well.
Yes,
he looks like a Thunderbirds puppet. That's what it is. That's what it is. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. That's why I need Betty around. Like it's. Yeah, oh my god, I hate when people do. You know when they go and they get the Botox, and he's clearly had some Botox done as well. The Botox and the overly cartoonish teeth.
Oh, you talking about Jimmy Carr?
Yeah, he looks awful.
I haven't seen him.
Nah, he looks awful.
I'm gonna add these on for next time. But okay, cool. Yeah, that's good stuff. So we got a good little tier going on here.
Yeah,
it's dope.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
and also as well,
at that.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, make sure that y'all are subscribing, adding people, all that good stuff to it. I appreciate Western Betty, Aaron. Y'all always do everything in these chats, man. We sure appreciate y'all, man, for sure.
And shout out to Aaron as well. Aaron's been a solid addition to the team as well.
Yeah.
We can talk a little bit of MMA in the interim. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to bring up? I want to know more about this 305 stuff. Just while we're doing a break in between this and the next segment, like, what do you reckon? What have you found out?
Is that
Appreciate it, Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, I am curious what you found out from 305. For
nice
sure.
One. I don't even have the link to our own channel. It's proper terrible, man.
Well, if you scan the QR code right there, I'm sure you can get it. But dude, man,
I don't even know if I don't even think I'm subscribed to it myself. I need to practice what I preach, man. Jump on there. It's bad. It's a bad look.
Yeah, y'all subscribe to the Twitter too, or follow the Twitter, whatever you call it.
Yeah. So what do we know about the 305 situation so far?
He said the blue corner got leaked.
Has JDM on it, who said that he won't be able to fight on it. Yeah, maybe it's it just hasn't been updated. But they've made faux pas like this in the past, where they've genuinely just like spilled the beans on everything. Sometimes I think they do it on purpose just to get people talking. Frankie, you're gonna sit on one ass cheek for the. I'm actually sitting on a dildo. That's why I'm really uncomfortable.
Oh my god!
I'm moving every now and then. I sit on a dildo every time. This is dildo time, and I'm by myself.
Dude,
You
I don't know
guys have
how
to remind me though, because my back is genuinely fucked up.
I don't know how I'm gonna clip up these gay moments. I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
There's too many now. There's way
it's,
too many.
it's very difficult.
There's way too many. Also, Hooker and Close. That Jakar Close, yeah. Gangster lean. There's nothing gangster about me in any way, shape, or form. Kai Kara France versus Usyk. The thing is there. Kai Kara France and Usyk is a really good fight. I really wanted to see Kai Kara France and what's it? Manel Cap get it on.
Yep.
Like
that was the one, man. That was the one.
That was the one. I mean, I'm kind of glad they're doing. I know. I'm glad they're doing Cap on UFC Manchester because it's, he's one of my. Assuming he makes weight, which we can never assume with Manel now.
Can't assume that, but that would have been the biggest fight in the flyweight division right now. Yeah. I think that would have been the biggest fight
because there is real hatred there. I would have loved to have seen
that. I can't think of a bigger one.
He sat on fat stacks in his wallet. I don't know where all this. You know what? My friends make rich jokes to me in the chat as well all the time. I don't get where it comes from. Like it's
Frankie Fat Stacks. That's the name. Frankie Fat Stacks.
Nice. I don't get it. I've got to move I think part of the reason why I'm leaning all the time is I don't have my microphone positioned in a very good place. So I feel like I'm kind of leaning over to kind of. I'm going to put it right in the middle here. There we go. That should help. But yeah, Song Yadong is fighting on 305. Who's he fighting? Oh, you just saw his side, yeah? Likely against Henry Cejudo, seeing Song is in the blue. I don't know how the whole blue corner, red corner thing works. So is the blue corner the away fighter? Is that how it's seen?
Is blue the lower ranked fighter?
Or is that how it goes? I never even thought about it. Because you said you paid 10 years rent ahead. I've never said that. I said I don't have a mortgage. Oh, that's where it comes from.
That's it.
No, I got it. I got it now.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, not
blue is the lower rank. I didn't know that.
Song being there is cool. I don't know if I mean, I guess you know what is. It's actually good that Henry is actually fighting other people in the division. You get these people who are former champions that are like kind of uppity about who they fight. And it's kind of cool to see him doing that.
With Henry, I think he fucked himself. I thought he was gonna be able to come back, win the belt, get one more, grab some pay-per-view points, and then fuck off again. But he's lost, then he's lost again, and now he's just like, God damn, like, well, my reputation's ruined anyway. I might as well just make some more money.
If he fights Song, how you think that goes, though? You think he loses again?
Yeah.
I feel like that, too. I think he's on a 3-fight losing streak, just like his podcast partner.
I haven't watched too much of it, to be honest.
Their podcast is actually all right.
I mean, I'm assuming it's not that bad. I mean, Kamaru's actually pound for pound. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, what Cejudo's achieved is incredible, but he got a lot of. I mean, people talk about Aljo getting like, caveats on Aljo's wins at bantamweight. Cejudo's chock full of them. He didn't beat Mighty Mouse, in my opinion, in the rematch, and they blatantly leaned it that way because they knew they wanted Mighty Mouse out of there. And then he got Dominic Cruz when he was way past it. He got a depleted TJ Dillashaw. I mean, I know he and again, like, what's it? Who was the other one he knocked the fuck out of? The bald cunt who looks like Krillin from Dragon Ball Z. What's his name again? Marlon Moraes. The Brazilian Krillin.
He looks just like Krillin.
And he fights just like Krillin too. He's got that Krillin energy. Just the weakest guy on the roster. Like
Hey,
he was Marlon Moraes. He was strong when the show started. He was like, oh, this guy's strong, and then literally as the years went on, he just
man, you could one shot him.
get one shotted by everyone.
Yeah, that's funny.
How
But
you doing, brutally? By the way, Brutally Honest MMA is another guy I need to give a shout out to. I stopped by and Brutally Honest stream yesterday. Really enjoyed myself over there. You did a watch along. If you're not subscribed to Brutally Honest MMA, get over there immediately. Got a great community over there as well. I feel like we're kind of like linking communities up the more we do this. And this is Brutally. I'm
mhm.
going to say this publicly. You're definitely somebody that I want to work with down the line.
Yeah, I
Very
think we should
knowledgeable.
definitely
The stream was
team
very
up.
entertaining. Nothing
Team
but
up.
love for that. Yeah, team ups all the way. Teamwork makes the dream work and all that shit. The UFC fucking hated DJ. Yeah, they did.
Yep.
Genuinely did. And they act like he doesn't exist now, which is even funnier. Like, it's just crazy. Yeah, nice one,
Yeah.
Weston. I appreciate that. Get Brutally Honest MMA up in the house. No worries, man. Thanks for providing. Again, anybody who gives me the opportunity to turn off Michael Bisping and Dominic Cruz of an evening is goated in my book. I
Yeah,
can't
man.
get through the cards if I have to listen to those fucking assholes. So yeah, but
Dominic is
that's what I'm saying,
hard to
flyweight's
stomach
not
sometimes.
potential. What do you think they're gonna do with what's his face, the Japanese guy coming in,
Oh, Kai Asakura?
Kaya Sakura? Yeah, if he
Um,
doesn't fight at flyweight, it's gonna be a very unspectacular. It's gonna be a grand opening, grand closing situation for that guy.
it is, man. Those bantamweights too big, too strong. At least for based on what I've seen, like he needs to be in flyweight. But if he gets in flyweight, he can make some noise for real. Um, let me see. Let me look at the rankings. Because
Bro, get 5
but
to
they
1
got him
Sagan.
listed. They got him listed as a bantamweight. That's what's interesting. So it almost feels like they're leaning that way. But we can
Do
look
they,
at
do
both
they
of them
want to? Do they
honestly.
want to drag him in to get beaten up? Is this the plan?
I
I don't know. I don't know what the beef. He would get. I like him. He's obviously very, very popular, but he's not that good in terms of like he's small as well. It's not that he's not that
yeah
good. He's a good fighter, but everyone at bantamweight fucks this guy up. I genuinely think that anyone inside the top 8 or 9,
yeah.
10, Umar dusts him.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think anyone from sort of 10 to 15 you'd have a good shot with. But again, I'm not entirely convinced about that. Kyler would give him a
I
good
don't.
fight.
I think
Bautista would
Batista
give him a good
beats him.
fight.
I think Batista beats him. He can beat
No,
Cruz.
yeah, I wouldn't take that. I mean, because he's had a bit of a slide recently in terms of against. I mean, he got dusted by Cap, who's a flyweight. I don't know.
Hmm.
I wouldn't. Kyler Phillips, I think, would beat him as well potentially, or at least give him a serious run for his money.
I think
Kyler Phillips
Cruz
is quite good.
and Pedro Munoz are the only two people that and maybe Jonathan Martinez based on what we just saw.
I think he beat Jonathan Martinez based on what we saw against Aldo.
Yeah, I think he can beat
Don't go to
13 through
bantamweight
15.
is the message. Whereas at flyweight, I can see him beating the majority of that top 15. I think it starts to. I think he'd beat Amir Albazi.
I
I
think
think
that's
like
the
it would.
fight that he should go for.
That's the fight he
That's
should
the
go
one.
for. He can walk in there and go straight for Amir Albazi.
Yeah,
That's what I would
I
do if
think
I
that's
was
the
him.
one.
I think Moreno would be a tough fight. I think Royval would be a tough fight. Kai Kara France, I think I put him on a level with Kai. They seem very comparable to me.
Yeah,
And again, you could do the rubber match with Manel Cap if he beats Makayev.
yeah.
They've got a win each.
I think
So
Asakura beats Nicolau. I think he can
yep,
beat him. Even though I think Nicolau is very good. I think
he
something's
is.
going
He's
wrong.
fallen
Something's
so
wrong with
hard.
him right now.
He's fallen off so hard. That guy. It's
Yeah.
brutal. It's brutal.
Man,
I never even thought of turning off the center console, so I didn't even know you could do. The thing is, yeah, I watch most of my events because obviously I do like watch alongs and stuff as well. I either watch it on like a massive PC monitor or on a laptop. But it sounds like that would be worth the investment. But like I said, I normally jump into guys like Dougie and whoever just happens to be on. Sometimes it will be musical, sometimes it will be brutally honest MMA. It'll be whoever's operating on at the time. Oh, the Fight franchise is up in the building. That's another great channel over there. Another British a guy from my neck of the woods, doing really well on YouTube as well.
Yeah, yeah. He said Makaya versus Cap fights for the title in Abu Dhabi in October. I think Asakura fighting Albazi is a winnable fight. I think he can beat him. I don't think Albazi is that great. I think he got
And
gifted the decision.
he lost 4-1 to Kai Kara France. That's one of the worst robberies of all time. That's one of the worst robberies of all time. I was I'm still angry. I don't even like Kai Kara France. That's how bad it was. I don't like him as a person. I enjoy him as a fighter, but I don't give a shit about his career. And I was fuming. Makayev is incredibly hard to watch. His stand-up is awful, and then he kind of squeaks through rounds by just kind of spamming this. Basically, Makayev's entire shtick is just spam relentlessly, so the other guy can't do anything to you. And then if you lose position, just go down like a turtle, where they can't, or basically get yourself into that, your hands on the ground, the bitch position, basically, so that nobody can hit you, and then reset and then do the same thing over and over again. Muhammad Mukayev is fucking painful to watch, and that's why I think Tatsuro Taira would dust him. And I think I am a little bit worried about Manel Cap, because Manel Cap can sometimes be very slow in fights. Like he doesn't put enough output out there, and I'm worried that if he doesn't put the same game plan or the right game plan forward, Mukayev could do the same shit to him. Makayev's awful to watch. He's not an awful fighter. He's very effective, but he's awful to watch. And that's why he doesn't really have a lot of fan base, a majorly large fan base. He just doesn't.
I hope he never gets close to a belt. I don't want to see him anywhere near it. I don't like watching him fight.
No.
I don't like his attitude. I don't like too much of anything about him, to be honest. The only thing that's good about him is he's able to implement his game plan and squeak out some interesting victories, and maybe sometimes go for a submission. Other than that, I don't want to see him win anything. I hope he loses all the rest of his fights and gets out of the UFC.
Wow, that was you're just cutting straight to the bone, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I respect that. I don't even know where he belongs to. It's a very difficult thing with him because he doesn't seem to have anyone majorly behind him. He's just not a needle mover, so to speak. And when you fight like that, nobody's going to get behind you, you pussy.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel. I do think that, the Fight franchise has a very good point there. I think given his age, and brutally honest is it raises a good point as well. It felt like his stand-up was more polished before. But I think as the level's gone up, because flyweight is one of the most skilled divisions in the UFC, it might not be personality-wise. The one thing the reason why I love Manel Cap so much is because he's a shit. He will go in there and rock the boat as hard as he'll go for people's throats, which you described him as a prize fighter before, which I think was a really good summation of what this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
He shakes things up, and flyweight doesn't have that. But one thing that flyweight is it's everyone in that division in the top 15 can do everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Makai is struggling. When he actually gets into stand up with people, he's exposed as being not very technical. He can't get away with this because the thing is, in flyweight, if you try that spinning shit against somebody who's in top 10, they're going to take you down and keep you down. They're going to take advantage of those openings. So he's completely eliminated that from his game now. And he tries to just keep his stand-up very basic and effective, where he's obviously going to try and set things up. We're talking about that guy who let his knee bend back. I tell you what, I do give him some credit for that, because I don't know how he didn't submit from that. That was some. You remember those old toys, those Armstrong toys? Made out of rubber.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought
he's unbelievably flexible. He's unbelievably flexible. But, there's people in prison who are unbelievably flexible. So if that's what you're going by.
Yeah, I get why people might appreciate him from a like a technical standpoint, but again, if you look at what Tatsuro Taira did last night, he got shit on a lot. But I said this earlier on in the stream. As soon as he was like, "Yep, I want to get this guy down and get on their back," he knew he could do it at any time. And the way that he transitions, at least, is exciting to watch. Like the way that he was leaning back, I thought was great as well. Like I've never seen that been done when somebody gets a triangle and just literally leans off somebody's body to drag them down. He did it. He did it earlier on before the knee buckled. Like he was sort of leaning to the side and then like throwing shots to this. And I was thinking, wow, man, why has nobody else done this? But he had such confidence that he had the triangle locked in that he could just do what he wanted, and you could see that Perez was thrown off.
Yeah, that was weird for him. But
And I
I've
know
seen
the
like
fight was
the still shots of them, like of him like leaning all the weight was on Perez's knee.
he
And so
caused that injury.
Yeah,
He might not have meant to do it, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did it. So it's like I had my reservations about Tatsuro Taira, but like his stand up is way better than Makayev's, and when he decides he's going to apply his game, he's very difficult to deal with. And I think like my stock is now much higher on him than it was going into the event. Because I think I've even gone on record saying that I thought Perez was going to be too soon for him.
Yeah, and Perez, I mean, to his credit, he was doing some good work at the beginning of that fight. And he actually had Tyra looking a little bit surprised, at certain parts of it, but Tyra's just a better fighter at this point, and Perez is closer to the end of his run, especially now with that injury.
Oh yeah, he's done, and a fair play to him for trying to get in there more. But I think that's going to be a long layoff. I think what you said last night on the live stream is pretty accurate. Like I think we'll see him again in like 18 months, and then he'll have like a retirement fight.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to go with him. But yeah, I agree with Aaron. I think like Usyk would beat him. I think Pantoja would beat Makayev. I think Moreno would. I think Royval would as well. Royval's sneaky good.
yeah,
And I think Tyra would obviously beat him. But I think with Tyra, they have to be very, very careful because that stand-up stuff is a problem. Like he's definitely improved from fight to fight, but I don't think his stand-up is good yet. It's sort of acceptable, and you can't get away with that when you get to the very upper echelons of flyweight, in my opinion. I think he's going to come unstuck. Because if he needs to get into a bit of stand-up before he can apply his takedown game, he's going to get clipped by somebody. So don't fast roll him too much. Like don't stick him in there with Pantoja straight away. But they might. How you doing, musical brother? You missed a very long segment on us talking about stand-up comedians. I'm sure you would have had a lot to say about that. But we were just talking about last night's card. What did you think of it personally? Fucking musical. I heard you were you had, what was it, a duck?
Yeah, he was making a duck. He was making a duck.
Making a duck. I wouldn't have mind jumping. I could use some tightening up in the kitchen. Actually, no, I'm fucking joking. I'm not going to give anyone in the house some ideas that's going to be my role. Okay. Fuck that. Last night's card forced me to end stream halfway through.
Here we go.
There we go. I thought the card was all right. Like it exceeded I already got slaughtered for this, but like I thought there were very good fights on the card.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. You got to keep your expectations low.
Shitting on Makayev is fun on Twitter. Because the great thing about Makayev is he's dumb and he takes the bait.
Oh yeah, he does. He'll fire back.
He's the future. He's going to be like the Jamal Hill of flyweight. Like if you want to have an interaction with a UFC fighter and go and get some traction, just throw as many Jamal Hill shits to the wall, and he'll bite on one of them eventually. Can't help himself.
You know what? So I think we'll stay on stream for like another maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. But I was gonna go into this ESPN UFC thing, but I actually have a different question. I'm curious because it came from what you just said. Who is the most sensitive UFC fighter on the roster right now? Like
I mean,
when it
Jamal Hill's
comes to, I
like John Jones.
mean,
John Jones at the moment is having a fucking meltdown. Like he seems to be shit. Or the fact that I had people coming to me and saying, yeah, like Musical was making a duck on stream yesterday, and I was like, what's the nothing about the? There was no mention of like, you know, the reaction to the fight. So when I was like, yeah, I saw he was making a sick duck yesterday. I often reply to Makai's tweet with his shit picture. Absolute retard. Uh, I think John Jones is up there lately. Joe Pyfer's a salty fuck as well.
is
Like he's
he? See, like I haven't seen a lot from. Oh, there we
see
go.
Joe Pyfer doesn't do it
There
on
we
Twitter.
go.
He does it on he does it in person, which is even funnier. Whereas John Jones here seems to be like John Jones is getting levels of abuse. The weird thing is here, John Jones has done some absolutely despicable stuff in his life here, and no one really goes for him, or the majority of people don't go for him. Dana White calls him the pound for pound number one. And now all of a sudden, everyone is all up his ass. Like, obviously, it started with like up his ass is a little bit too on the nose, but do you know what I mean? It's like he he is getting it from everyone now. Even the most like rampant John Jones fans have just abandoned him. He's getting abused
Yeah.
from every corner. Like even when he posts about something innocuous, like have a
Hmm.
good day, like people are just like fuck off you gay cunt or whatever. They just go into him. It's like so unnecessary. Fuck it. He seems to be genuinely upset by it.
Yeah. No, he does.
I mean,
You know what I didn't like? I didn't like, and you know how I feel about John Jones as a fighter, but
mm,
dude, when he put out and he put it on multiple social media streams, when he started talking about Dominic Reyes, and he was just like, since that fight with us, I see that you've grown, and the best thing for you is to be able to take the loss. And I'm like, dude, I don't think you should be talking about this fight. I think you should just be quiet.
yeah, he
I think you
definitely
should be
should be quiet.
just be quiet. Don't even
Just be
talk about that
quiet.
fight. Because as a John Jones fan, I think that he lost that fight. And so
Mm.
just be quiet about it, man. And
And it seemed like a
Dominic
weird
Reyes,
time to go for him as well. Like he's just come back on the win column,
yeah,
like and the reaction to like again, I think Reyes' personality is a bit cringy. I don't really like I don't care about the guy as a personality, but even seeing the joy he felt and the relief he felt after getting that win, even my and even me, and I'm a massive asshole, and I was like, oh, that's quite nice, like good for him,
yeah.
like so to go for him and to diminish that as well was kind of just again, John Jones has just been taking. I don't want to say I hate saying L's. I hate that expression. No, you're taking L's. I hate it, but it's kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Like he's just had a rough year, and he deserves it. Jamal Hill's definitely up there.
Yeah, man.
Jamal Hill's
I mean, if we're doing a pound for pound list of the current people, Jamal Hill's probably at the top. But John Jones has longevity on his side. But Jamal Hill, I like Jamal Hill. I really do. But he
yeah.
just says things that are just like, bro, I wish you just take that loss and just move forward from it. Like there was no reason to even come back at Alex. And then Alex had something clever to say, saying like, "Oh, I guess you just woke up," because that was like 2 months ago. Like,
Alex always has the best way of just like shutting people down immediately. I watch his whole like I do watch his YouTube channel every now and then. Obviously, heavily
mhm.
subtitled, of course. Guy's entertaining, yeah, but Hill's just weird, man. He didn't take the loss that well. Let's put it
No,
that
he
way. And
did
he
not.
and he takes what people say to him on Twitter very, very personally,
Just
which is
call.
probably leading to where he is right now. Kobe, does Kobe operate on social media at all?
I feel like he doesn't. But I don't know. I don't really pay attention to him because I don't like him at all, and I never have.
Yeah, I
So
know how you feel about him. Yeah, I hate based. I hate edging. I hate maxing. I hate things like living rent free in his head. I fucking hate that expression. I hate when people say that.
best
There's
base for
loads of those
MMA.
little.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
hate
don't like that.
based. I hate that. Yeah, there's things that just get overused, and it's time to just stop it. Just use the language as it was intended. The thing is that you and Western say it, and kind of when you and Western say it, I enjoy it because it's kind of it feels trolly. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
I'm just sick of that expression. I fucking hate it.
So how does everybody feel about Chris Curtis?
Yeah, he's another guy that shouldn't be on social media. Way too sensitive. And the thing is, I kind of like Chris Curtis, and then I don't, and then like I'm like, it's weird. I've got a very weird. It goes back and forth with me on that guy.
And you know how when you interact with a fighter, you kind of like, oh man, they're not so bad. I like them. And then anything that happens afterwards, you like give them the benefit of the doubt. That's kind of how I am with Chris. Like when I first started the channel or whatnot, like he was one of the first fighters that I interacted with, and he was really cool. And
Mm,
so anything that happens afterwards, it's like I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But like
yeah,
I see it though. I see it. I do see it.
yeah. I don't mind Chris Curtis, and the thing is, yeah, I've seen. I used to watch his podcast with Sean Strickland quite a lot, and he's actually a nice dude. I got
Yeah.
no issues with him really, and at least he's the thing that bothers me the most is the when he's in the cage and people don't fight the way he wants to, and then he throws a hissy fit.
Yeah.
He's like, "Why won't you come in the pocket with me so I can knock you out?" It's like, nah, bro, that's not how MMA works. Like, you've got to, if somebody wants to stay at range and kick the shit out of your legs, and they can win that way, sorry, like that's just the way things go. People aren't just going to get into the pocket with you or go into it. It's stupid. So
Yes,
he's a
it's
bit of a
not smart.
crybaby with stuff. But I think genuinely, like generally, he seems like a nice, relatable dude.
He does.
Got
He
himself a nice
sees
white lady as well. So good
no,
luck with that.
that's it's part of the game. CJ said Chris stay crying in the car, which is true. It's true. It's true.
Chris Curtis retarded at cutting people off in a fight. Yeah, he just like stands in the middle and waits for them to jump into his arena.
Mm,
Yeah.
do you think it's just Chris, or do you think that that's part of what they do at that gym? Because I see a lot of following from Sean Strickland as well.
But I mean, for all the shit that Sean Strickland gets, at least he stalks people down.
He does stalk them.
He stalks
He
people
does.
down and at least applies his game on them. He doesn't complain when people try to disrupt that.
No, he doesn't complain in the fight at all. Um, he's very serious in the fight for sure. For sure.
I'm trying to think of some other people who are whiny little bitches.
Chris Weidman.
No, I don't know too much about what he does on social media or anywhere else.
Yeah, he's a bit of a crier, a bit of a complainer.
I feel like I'm missing somebody painfully obvious. Chris Curtis sometimes just doesn't advance. Like, yeah, the Hermanson fight was a blatant example where he was literally shouting at Hermanson in the middle of the fight, like, "Why aren't you doing what I want you to do?"
Yeah,
He was genuinely frustrated. And
cost him a
Hermanson's like,
fight
"What do you
too.
want from me, man? I'm winning." Like, fuck you, bro.
Yeah, totally cost him a fight.
Luke Rock, Bobby Green. I can't figure out what I feel about Bobby Green. This is a
I don't
great
remember
topic.
him doing that. I don't remember
I'm glad
Bobby
you brought this up.
Green. I don't remember Bobby Green necessarily complaining outside of saying people on steroids, but like I don't remember him like being a crybaby necessarily. But I could have missed it.
Oh, you mean Garimbo musical? Yeah, that was weird. That was fucking weird.
Oh yeah, Thimba Garimbo. Was that how you say his name?
Themba Garimbo, yeah. But Bobby Green is just a Cheeto. I love Cheeto. I love Cheeto's personality. Like that dude
Yeah.
is genuinely funny. Like he's genuinely funny. I got a lot. I won't have a bad word said about Cheeto in here, sir. Cheeto's my guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that whole thing was like he basically made his coach's what his coach's mother died or something, was it? And he basically made the whole thing about himself.
Yeah, that was a weird speech. I didn't. It was very uncomfortable. Very
Cheeto can't
uncomfortable.
handle a loss. Or maybe it just skipped me by. I didn't get to see as much of it as I would have liked to. Cheeto saying retarded was the definition of stepping on thin ice. I enjoy Cheeto. I've got a lot of love for that guy. I think he's like not the most amazing fighter in the world, but that chin needs to be studied. And genuinely, when I've seen interviews of him, I'm entertained.
Yeah, I like him as a person.
I like him as a person.
And I think he's a good fighter. Um, I think he should win this fight against Davison Figueiredo. Should.
The fact that he's the underdog to me is bananas.
I don't understand that.
Cheeto was salty after the Yadong loss. Yeah, I actually
But,
forgot about that fight.
but was he unreasonably salty? Like,
It was a close one.
yeah, it was a close fight. I don't think that he
It
was
was a close one.
unreasonably salty. Whereas, somebody like a Jamal Hill gets knocked out and then complains saying, well, only one of us has been knocked out sleep in a fight. Like, that's what we're going to hang our hat on, even though, like, I did see you go to sleep. Like, that's what we're going to hang our hat on. But
Yeah, so I don't know. Garbrandt's a decent one as well. He refused to shake his hand. Yeah, I don't really like that stuff. I think after you throw down, there should be a respect there. But I guess if you're emotional in the moment, I can kind of understand it. But Song Yadong just kind of comes across as a nice kind of, I don't know. He's trying to up the personality thing a little bit. Like him going at Yan really backfired quite spectacularly. That was quite
yeah,
bad.
that song with the blonde hair. Yeah, he's got a little thing he's trying to do. That's cool. But
Giving it a go. Fuck it. Yeah, I see Figgy out wrestling Cheeto. I don't think Figgy is that good at bantamweight. I think he's going to get. I think for me, this was a weird fight for him to take the Figgy one because I think what's going to happen is Vera's going to realize very quickly into the fight that Figgy's not that powerful and he's just going to mow through him. That's what I think is going to happen. There's nothing I've seen from Figgy at bantamweight that's really blown my socks off yet. Like, all right, he beat Rob Font fairly convincingly, but it was a pretty meh thing. And he was getting touched up by Garbrandt in the first round. I mean, I know he got him down and subbed him, but I'm not convinced yet.
yeah, I think that size is about to make a difference. I think it's finally going to make a difference. Because when he's in there with a real, like, larger bantamweight, I think, like Cheeto, long, can keep him at arm's length. I think it's going to be an issue.
How many rounds is it going to be? I think it's going to be 3, right? That might be the issue.
Yeah, because
That might be the issue.
Cheeto, traditionally starts slow. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. So he'll definitely lose probably definitely lose the first round in that one, but I can see him winning it in 3. I wouldn't mind Cheeto at featherweight as well. I really wouldn't. I don't think that's a bad take at all. He doesn't bulldoze anyone. Oh no, I mean like it's more that like he does have a tendency to take fights over the longer they go, but that's why the 3 rounds kind of concerns me a little bit. Because that could be a close one. That could be a close one.
Yeah, I wish that Cheeto did use that clinch and do some Muay Thai type stuff to control a fight, but it just depends. Depends on how he feels that day, and depends how engaged he is in the fight early on how he does it. Like when he went on his run where he was finishing people, like I think that a lot of those fights that he was actually losing. On points.
I mean, he was losing to Dominic Cruz. I had him 3 rounds down in that fight before he kicked his head into fucking orbit. So yeah, it's fair enough. Maybe enough, but I just don't. I don't think Figgy's strong enough or quick enough at bantamweight. I was expecting him to be really, really quick when he moved up to bantamweight, but he's just not that, and the power definitely isn't there.
Nah.
I'm
Doesn't
wrong.
seem
It's
that
his
way.
wife. I think Fizzy is at a level or two above Cheeto. I guess time will tell. No, Cheeto's definitely not championship caliber, but bantamweight, as we've talked about multiple times, is the best division in the UFC by far. I mean, we saw yesterday. I mean, I know a lot of people shit on yesterday's card, but when you think about those 2 dudes that fought yesterday, High Stand and Armfield, they're not even in the top 40 in the unofficial rankings. And the technical display between those two was really impressive. Like the way they were able to defend submissions and the way they were touching each other up on the feet as well. I thought that was a really good fight. And the fact that those guys are that high level and they're not even
close to being
they're
ranked.
nowhere near the rankings. They're nowhere near. If you enter bantamweight as a new prospect, you've basically got to win 6 or 7 fights before you get anywhere near top 15.
Yep.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah. In heavyweight,
It's
you win
crazy.
one, and they'll look at you like
You're
maybe he should
champion.
be in.
You win one and you're champion. You've got a belt. Like I genuinely think if you're a fat fuck and you can throw hands a little bit, go try your hand at heavyweight. Like genuinely, like it is the most unskilled division in the sport.
Yeah, it's
Women's
true.
bantamweight is better than the general level you get in fucking heavyweight.
Case in
Awful.
point, Greg Hardy was fighting Tai Tuivasa just a few years ago to get into the rankings, if that lets you know anything. And Greg Hardy is now getting knocked out in the boxing by like janitors. Like it's not good. It's not a good division at all.
The grappling and scrambles of 125 or more. Yeah, I think that flyweight is more the general skill level is the highest in the UFC. But I think in terms of the amount of the problem with flyweight is that as a division, it's kind of fucked right now. Like in terms of, I think that's what takes the shade off a little bit. Number one, you don't have personalities, and number two, you don't have a clear person to see for the belt. Eddie Hall, what does Eddie Hall weigh now? Eddie Hall could be heavyweight champion. If he could get down to like 265, which would be really hot because he's massive and he's like what 350 probably something like that.
That's a big old dude.
And he looks like an orange, like a walking orange.
Oh man, I just pulled him up. They got him at 362. He'll never get to 265.
Yeah, he'll never get to 260. And the thing is, you couldn't justify doing a super heavyweight division because like they're already shit at heavyweight. Like the last thing you want is that slobbery mess. I'm not down for that. I'll be honest.
Bad.
I'm all right for it. I'm all right for the occasional freak show fight, but I don't know, man. That would be horrific. That would be horrific.
Yeah.
Entertaining though. Yeah, man. He's like a walking orange.
That's a very powerful, like. Powerful orange.
A very powerful orange. Yeah. Yeah, I like Eddie Hall. You gotta get behind the British people, but yeah, he would. I think he could. If he could, and the thing is, he has shown in the past that he can get his weight down. Getting it down to 260, I'm not sure because that is like an.
That's 100 pounds.
That's an absurdly large individual right there.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
His YouTube is really good as well. It's quite creative.
I haven't seen it. I haven't actually.
He does a lot of stuff on there. Like, he does a lot of like niche sort of. He does like, I mean, he's getting into more like the sparring stuff where he's you know, like the way he basically power bombed a bantamweight in that handicap match he did recently. If you guys haven't seen that,
oh, I did see that. I saw the highlight.
He picked one guy. He literally power bombed him, and then when he got up, the guy got up. I don't know how the guy got up, and like ran towards him, and Eddie Hall pretty much put his fist through his head. And what I didn't realize I thought that the fight was going to be over. You know, if Eddie Hall knocks one of them out, fight's over, right? No. They dragged that dude out of the cage, and then they let the other little guy fight him one-on-one.
Oh, no.
And then he fucking knocked his head off as well.
Who
He
sanctioned
basically
this?
knocked him down and then he just kind of tapped the top of his head and they were like, "Nah, let's just stop."
Dude,
That's what in a
who?
handicap match. That's what you've got to do. You've got to just like as soon as one of them gets flatlined, they're like, "That's it. Just draw
It's
an end to it."
over. Who
When that
sanctioned
guy got,
that?
I saw the look in the guy's eyes. It was like, nobody told me I was gonna have to do this. Like if my buddy got fucked up and he got into the fetal position almost immediately.
That was such a bad
It was
idea.
brutal. It was brutal. It was a terrible, shitty fight. Like it was basically 1 minute of it was entertaining. Like when the two bantamweight guys basically decided for some reason, oh, we're gonna go for him. That's when things got entertaining. But
I mean, at least they made him go backwards.
that W got Eddie a number 15 ranking in there. That's how bad heavyweight is. You don't even have to be signed for the UFC. Get ranked. Awful division. Genuinely awful. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good topic. We'll talk about. Well, we'll finish up this comedian thing. We'll be back on y'all on Wednesday, but before then, I'm streaming on Making the Walk on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're doing Frankie and Jax. Oh, actually, on Tuesday, after mine, then you're streaming on yours, right?
I'm trying to get on like as many evenings as possible now.
Yeah.
And
So-
hopefully I'm going to be doing some collabs with some people down the line as well. So there's certain people who have already hit me up in and again we've said this previously as well. If you're just somebody who subscribes to the channel and you feel like, hey, I want to jump on camera at some point and talk some shit, it's very much something I'm going to be doing on my channel. So I'm fully down for all of that. I'll keep saying it until somebody takes me up on the offer. I'm trying to get Mikey at the right time as well because he's obviously working a lot at the moment. So I'm trying to catch a good time to jump on with Mikey.
Yeah, Mikey, for sure. You're like number one in the queue. And mine as well. Definitely open to whomever wants to jump in. So, hit us
Yeah,
up on
I will
whatever.
do call-ins any fucking time.
Yep.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm.
As long as nobody starts shouting out, starts using it as like a political platform. I'm going to start talking shit about Gaza or whatever. I don't need any of that shit. Or maybe use it as an opportunity to shout some Nazi stuff out. I don't know. I can't get in anyone's heads, but there is obviously a trust involved because when you get people jumping on, there's obviously certain things that could get you munted off of YouTube in fast time. I'd love to hear Black Betty on a call-in. I'd love that. There are certain people that I just think would be immensely entertaining.
Yep.
Like judging by how you guys talk on, and the thing is, even if you don't want to show your face on camera, you can just do a audio only thing. I'm fully down for whatever.
Yep.
It's something I've been talking about for months, but again, you can just hit me up on Twitter at Bad MMA Math and just DM me and just say, oh yeah, what is it you feel like talking about? And because I'm going live most days now, you're welcome to jump. I was planning on some point of just posting the restream link into the stream and just whoever turns up. Just do it like that. That's definitely an element I want to do. The phone-ins would be sick.
It would be. It would be, especially during if we do watch-alongs. That's a really good time to do them because especially some of those cards are a little tough.
Yeah, like yesterday. I brought up a conversation about I don't know why I brought this up. It was a bit random, but we were talking about like the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally just ended up ignoring everything else, and we're just talking about that for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like every topic is open.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask before we jump off of here is musical. What happened with the duck you were cooking? That's what I was. That's really what I was concerned about.
On one other thing, musical. Before you say that, before you talk about the duck, I noticed the other day when you came into stream, you asked if Restream was free. It's not.
No, it isn't.
There's like a free version that's like very, very limited. But I think it's like, how much is it? It's like $40 a month for like a decent package. It's
Yeah,
something like
or
that.
something like that. Something like
Paying
that.
like $40. But you can do this without having to use OBS, for example. You can have like guests onto the stream and whatnot, and it's just very easy to set up. And it
Mhm.
automatically like links in things like you can link in your, if you use Twitter to get your stuff out there, you can do that very easily as well. And it actually posts you up live on Twitter as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not free, but for me, it's kind of worth it for the fact that it's much easier to do collabs, and then you get, obviously, you're able to put like screen prompts up and things like that, and ticker lines and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can highlight chats as well very easily as well. So
Yeah. Very easy to deal with for sure.
if you're somebody who streams regularly, I think it's definitely worth investing in. Because I'm lazy as fuck and I don't have any technical ability, and it just does everything for you.
Let's see. All right. So he said he slow cooked it in salt and pepper for 4 hours.
That's the kind of card it was. He just turned over to the duck, just slow cooking, and this is like, yep, I'm not watching the card anymore. I want to see what's going on with this duck.
Yeah. No, okay. Yeah, he did it right. He did it right.
Yeah, musicals getting if $40 a month is not in my price at the moment, and you new. Yeah, it's a bit much to be like $40 is crazy, but
Yeah.
it's just said it helps to me just to avoid doing certain things. I'm willing to pay it for the meantime.
Yep. For sure. But yeah. So for y'all, man, we appreciate y'all jumping in. We will be back on stream on, what did we say?
We're gonna do Wednesday for Frankie and Jax. I'm probably gonna. I'm contemplating whether I should come back on tonight. I might jump on for an hour or so. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna be on most days. I'm probably gonna. We're doing like a recording thing tomorrow, so I might come on in the evening tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna try and jump on as much as possible because the traction in here is definitely better.
For sure. But yeah. Till next time, hit us up on all the socials and all that good stuff. But yeah, we'll see y'all
In a bit, guys.